think is it so? Can you see my presentation?
Yes, everything is very
Okay,
nice.
fine. So thanks for the introduction, Yin. So today I will present uh, bits of what we did on the Deep Hybrid DataCloud project, and it's a platform that the project was part of the Horizon 2020 program, and the aim was to build like a platform users could 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 enter like with minimal adoption barriers. So you're a user, you want to just like use latest infrastructures around Europe, and you don't want to mess with the underlying technology or the there, and deploy your machines and train your artificial intelligence projects. So in the project we were partners from all around Europe. So I've seen Valentin is among the attendees. So maybe he can join as panelist because he is very knowledgeable about everything in the project. So maybe if Álvaro doesn't join, or even if he joins, I think Valentin is a great asset to answer the questions. So maybe he can join later and give his opinions on everything I say and on the answers about the questions. So yes, so like the platform is basically directed to three types of users. So there's a basic user, like who doesn't know anything about machine learning and just wants like I want to use a module someone else has developed, and I want to use it like with zero knowledge. Like I want an easy API to the model, and let me choose the model, and let me choose maybe the resources it's gonna run. But like I don't want to program anything. So the next step is kind of an intermediate user who does know something, but not much about the intelligence or deep learning or whatever.
The audio doesn't work very well. It's broken. Hello, Ignacio, we cannot hear you.
We were a basic user, right? So the basic user just wants a working model and yeah, and just use that model without any fuss. So the intermediate user is more or less like the basic user. Like he wants a working model, but he wants to retrain that working model with their own data set, right? So maybe I like that image classifier, but I want to be able to train that image classifier in my data set, which is not a general data set, but maybe I want to train it with plants or whatever, like monkey types or whatever you might think. So the requirements are more or less like the basic user requirements, but in addition, you want kind of some data storage to be able to access and like to save your data set and access it from the training machine. And you want the ability to share your new model with other users. So if you have taken an available model and you retrain it, you might want to give it back to the community, so others might take profit from it. And then there's the advanced model, the advanced user, sorry, which is a step ahead of the other two users in so far that this advanced user, like, he knows about deep learning and and he knows how to program some model from scratch. So he basically wants some ready to use environment, like with most deep learning tools, and some training, some high performing training hardware, like GPUs for faster training of deep learning models or whatever. So and then the requirements are of course similar to the intermediate in the sense that they also want data storage to store the data set. And yeah, maybe after training their model, they would like to share back with the community. So in that sense, it's similar. But like the main difference is the first one. Like, he wants kind of a customized environment to develop their model, right? So like this is like a small summary of the different pipelines each user has to follow, because like as the requirements are very different, the workflow will be different. So the basic user is going to go to the marketplace, to the deep marketplace, and from there he will choose like any module they like, and access to from a standardized API which we developed, which is the DEEPaaS API. And from there without any fuss, he will be able to access the the predictions of any module without having to do anything. So in the middle is the intermediate user, which also will go to the marketplace, but from there he will be redirected to the dashboard. And the dashboard is a dashboard where you can deploy manually machines with we will see, but with different requirements and different options. So he will probably redeploy a machine with DEEPaaS or something, or Jupyter Lab maybe, if he wants to tweak a bit the model, and with some data storage solutions. Sorry. With some data storage solutions like Nextcloud or OneData, which he will use for his own data set, and again he will retrain and feedback to the community the new module. And the advanced is more or less the same, but of course he will need a development environment, probably like something like a Jupyter Lab with some goodies like integrated with cookie cutter, like we will see, and then GitHub, Docker Hub to upload the model and something. We'll see all these steps detailed after. And again, the new modules will be contributed back to the community marketplace, right? So can you still hear me? Yeah, I guess so. I hope so.
Yes, we
Yin?
can hear you very well.
Okay, fine. Just in case. So this is some useful links. So like this is the main project webpage, the marketplace, the dashboard for training or retraining, or maybe you can develop. As we will see, you can run a module, and just you can use it for prediction if you want. Like there's no hard requirement. Like so, this is the GitHub where we more or less gather all the modules and all the code specific to the project we have developed so far. The Docker Hub with the images of the different modules people develop, or the documentations. So this talk is kind of intended to be a summary of this documentation. But like if you want to know every tricky step, or might find some, or maybe you have questions, or like you can dive deeper into the documentation, and probably you will find an answer to that. And this is our like next cloud. So if you want to use storage or whatever. So yeah. So more or less the outline. So we will follow a bit the three workflows I suggested for the 3 user types. So the basic, the intermediate, and the advanced. So the basic is this one. Just I want to make inference. The intermediate is this one. I want to retrain the module, and the advanced, as you can see, is more dense. So you have to perform a lot more steps, but like with like you have more power, but like you need to put it in with some features that might appear in the future. And yeah, maybe Valentin, if later he wants to join as a panelist, can point or to more things, like yeah. So the marketplace. So the marketplace is a bit like this. Like this is a summary, but like as it is a remote webinar, like I think we can very well see the marketplace on live. So this is the marketplace. So this all the modules we have developed so far. But like I say, anyone in the community can develop a new module or retrain one of these modules and contribute it back to the marketplace. So for example, you could train like I said, like an image classifier, which I'm not finding, like for example this one, and train it for classifying plants, and then you can contribute back the model like with a plant species classifier, or you can develop a model from scratch and contribute it back. So if you, for example, want to train an image classifier, like I've got some zoom. So each module in the marketplace has its own tags. So you could look for, you could filter the models by the tags, and or you have like a table view of the models with the tags, and when they were updated, developed the GitHub code, citations. So you kind of have all the informations in the models. So this is a Jenkins pipeline, checking, rebuilding the model when the code changes, and we'll see it later. So, and this, like again, the categories, the license of the model. This is a link if you want to retrain this model in the dashboard. And this is like like quick and simple DEEPaaS UI. Now it's in maintenance, but like this is, we will see that it's kind of the effort step for the users to make a prediction. They just click here, they upload the image, and they get a reply, so they don't have to care about anything. No basic user. And yeah, you have links to the GitHub of the code. You have link to this module is. So this is the GitHub and the Docker image. So the Docker image, every time you update the code, the Jenkins pipeline rebuilds the Docker image and performs some additional checks. So for some modules you also have some data set. Can you hear me now? I'm losing.
Yes, we can.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I think I lost the connection for a few seconds. So yes, you have the data set for some modules. Like if you want to set the module has been trained, training files. If you want to maybe like this is not the same for every module. Like each one shares what he wants. So maybe the training files want, but anything they don't want. But if you want to share your training files, so maybe a user can deploy the module in his local machine. So I think this is great for portability. Like you are not linked to the platform in any way. Like you share what you want and you give back to the community what you want. But if you want to take away and deploy everything in your local machine, you are free to do it. Like everything is open source and transparent. So, and yeah, and you can point to citations of the module. So if someone tomorrow uses this module or retrains it or simply use it as it is, then they can use that citation to give credit to the original developer. Right. So this is the marketplace. So now what is the dashboard? So again, as you remember, if there's here a train dashboard link. So you are redirected to our train dashboard, right? So if you you can see this because I'm logged in the training dashboard. But if you do not have if you're not logged, so you might probably see something like this. So this is the main page where you're not logged in. So what you see is that you have to log in with a Deep EAM account. So like you have the steps for asking to become a member, and then you will able to see the dashboard as I'm seeing it. So first user, like the basic user, what would a basic user do? So he would train. He would go to that module, for example, the image classifier, and yes, he clicks train module. In this case, we want just make predictions, but whatever. So like he doesn't want to mess with anything in the module, so he just chooses and uses the standard API for the module. And those are like lots of options, but like we are not using them right now because these are options for storage. So this would be used, for example, by the intermediate or the advanced user to connect one data or Nextcloud to the machine and have more storage space for their data set. This is a password for Jupyter Lab. We are going to see it for the intermediate user, for example. And yes, this points to the image the Docker image that is going to be deployed. And yes, this is I think the more interesting part, which are the hardware options, like how many CPUs do you want, how many RAM memory you want, how many GPUs you want. So in this case, like we don't need lots of requirements because like if some of you know about deep learning, the expensive part is training, but prediction is usually quite lightweight, right? So the loading a working model and making a prediction is usually not very hardware consuming. So one CPU and 4 gigabytes of RAM memory is fine. So we have not, as you remember, like we have just used everything default. So let's see. So as you can see, this is a new machine which is being created. So you can see the deployments list here in the deployments. So this is another deployment I have. So let's see. Now you can see it has been deployed at a specific provider here at IFCA. So you can also choose, like, if you can, we will also see, like, if you want to deploy it with a specific provider, you can also choose it. Like, why might you want this? Like, because different providers maybe have different GPU models, and you want a GPU model specific that only one provider has. So maybe you want to point to a specific provider. So you might get higher chances of getting that GPU model, but whatever. Like, we will see it later. So the creation is complete.
Ignacio?
So, like, as you remember, we have deployed
There's a
yes.
question from Serena, and at this
yes, sure.
topic, she wants to ask, is the basic or intermediate usage only classification or trained?
So what is the question? If what is the
Serena, you can unmute yourself.
Hello,
yes.
Sorry for interrupting. I was just wondering what you have just showed us. Is this basic or intermediate usage, or a bit of the two? Is it only classification or training also? Because you talked about classification, but when you did the deployment, I thought there was a bit of
I'm
two.
sorry. Yes, maybe it wasn't clear. Like, this is the basic. Normally, the basic user will access the DEEPaaS API. Like this one, I just as you remember, like I just deployed I just made this deployment with DEEPaaS. Normally, you would do this with one click and deploy DEEPaaS, just clicking here. So for the basic user, it's much less cumbersome, but because you don't have to have an EAM account or anything. normally you would click in the web UI and you will deploy DEEPaaS like in a serverless framework. So
okay, so all the configuration is now needed because the web UI was not working.
Yes, all this configuration is just because this is under maintenance, so it's not working. But ideally, you would click in this web UI and you will get directly to DEEPaaS. So, and this is running a serverless framework. So maybe Álvaro can speak about it because I have no idea about that. So, and he indeed was the one in charge of developing that. So maybe he can give more updates on how it's done or where it's heading. So yes, all this fuss was just to kind of mimic what the behavior you would get if you directly clicked on the web UI.
Perfect. Thank you. This is much clearer now.
Okay. Yes. Sorry for the messiness of this. So yes, like ideally you would click on the web UI and get directly this interface of the model. So the basic user doesn't need, in principle, to log to the EAM account or anything. Like they just go to the marketplace and choose the module and get directly the API. So like that basic user like just wants to do prediction. So let's see what the API has like different functions. Like, so you can train the model in this case. Not every model has to be trainable. So if you remember the marketplace, there's each model has its own categories. And for example, the image classifier is trainable and has all the inference. But maybe if you just develop a model and you just implemented prediction, but not all the functions necessary to retrain it, so you can use only the inference tag and not the trainable tag. So you will have a pre-trained model and an inference tag. So that shows that you can use that model to make predictions, but you cannot retrain it. So probably in that model you wouldn't have those image classification train paths on. You would have just predictions. So and for example, you can also get information about the model. So like if you want to provide some information specific, you would have to fill a function with specific metadata of that model. So in our case, we just wanted to do predictions. So for example, here is kind of what could you use? So in this case, we only have one model, which is the default model that comes with this module. And this is a specific checkpoint of that model. So the main thing to know here in this module is like which image do you want to classify. So I have saved some pre-trained some images to make this quick, but this is, for example, a lion. So this model, this image classifier, has been trained with ImageNet, which is kind of a general purpose data set, which goes from cars, animals, or whatever daily things. So this like it took like almost no time, because like, as again, inference is making predictions in deep learning is the easy part. So it goes quite quickly, even if this model is running on CPU machine, no GPUs or anything. So you have your lion and you have almost 100% of probability. You can use other things like a cup of coffee, and you will get espresso with a lower probability. But yeah, whatever. The more difficult the image is, the crappier the predictions will be. But like the point is not assessing if this model is good or bad. It's just like showing that it's more or less effortless to get the predictions of it. Like if you don't have any idea about deep learning, you don't have to mess with anything. So this, yes, this was the basic user. So yes, this, well, we covered kind of it, like you have to use Docker image, the configuration, the storage, and which service do you want to run, if DEEPaaS or JupyterLab. Yes, and yes, this is what I was speaking. This is the basic user, just making inference. You put your lion, you get your predictions. So the intermediate user is more or less the same, but not quite. So this, so like you can, when you're finished with a module or a machine and you don't want it anymore, you can just delete it and to free some space. So the intermediate user is similar. This is the user that's starting from this user, you really need using the dashboard, right? Because there's no more. You want to start training the model, and you cannot use this shortcut, serverless shortcut. So you need to get an EM account and yeah, and access the dashboard. So let's say you want to train your image classifier again, but like, as I said, this is a general purpose one, but you want with your specific data set, right? So more or less the same, but now you probably have to tweak about some things in the machine. So you probably want to use JupyterLab, which I don't know if many of you are familiar, but it's kind of a nice interface for editing code or previewing files or even accessing the terminal. So it's quite a complete environment to use when accessing machines. So same Docker options are again the same, but now as we chose developing with JupyterLab, we need to have some Jupyter password to access in the machine. So no one can access it from us. So ideally, like if you had some that big data set, you would like to upload this data set to, yeah, as I said, one data or maybe Nextcloud, and then like access, and you would use all these parameters to kind of setting up the connection, like mounting the one data volume to your machine, and whatever. But this is like a bit more time consuming. So I'm gonna.
Ignacio, we cannot hear you very well.
Leave it.
And Ignacio, we cannot hear you well. Hello, Ignacio, can you hear us? We actually lost your sound. We can hear we can see the movement of the screen, but we lost your sound.
If you
Ignacio, we actually lost your sound and we cannot hear you. Can you hear us?
really have questions about it.
Hello, Ignacio. We lost your sound. It seems he cannot hear us. Hello? Hello, Ignacio. Can you hear us? Hello? Hello, Ignacio. We cannot hear you. Hello, Ignacio? No, he cannot hear us, but it seems just
you can ask later or
Hello, Ignacio, can you hear us? We cannot hear you.
or maybe type in the
Hello, Ignacio.
in the documentations how
And Ignacio cannot hear us. Also,
how this is done.
Checking he's not checking the chat, so we cannot communicate with him.
I believe Valentin is a very good candidate to answer questions about this.
Sorry about this.
So again, like now we want to retrain the module, right? So as I say, the training part is more consuming. So ideally, one would like to use GPUs. I'm not going to ask for a machine with GPUs.
Hello, Ignacio. We lost you.
Because probably they are quite busy.
Can you hear us? Hello? Hello, Ignacio. We lost you actually. You are muted now.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. In the before you start the Jupyter, actually, we lost your sound.
Before I started, what?
The Jupyter notebook.
Okay, before.
Before that, and
so more or less here. No, yes, are you looking at my screen? Yes. So in the deployment list, you saw, right?
Yes.
So
yes,
I opened the Jupyter file.
Yes, before you go to the Jupyter, yes.
Okay.
And
so
actually, when you deploy the second the model, training model.
Okay. Okay. So again, you go to the Jupyter in the deployed model. So, and you have this code. This is the image classification code. So this is the code I showed that was part of the GitHub.
And you have to show your screen now.
Sorry.
And it's the
Right.
internet connection is very bad today.
Okay, no, it's probably my fault, like for sure. Okay, can you see my screen right now?
Yes, I can see. Yes, we lost the you from here.
From here. Okay,
Yeah,
I will repeat then. So you access your Jupyter Lab and you put your Jupyter password, right? So and you get to this Jupyter environment, right? So this Jupyter environment is very complete. Like you can do, if you haven't used Jupyter, like you can create notebooks to write, for example, in Python. You can deploy a standard console, whatever. You can just write plain files, whatever you want. You can upload files from your computer, and you can export files from your computer. So you have more or less everything. So in this case, like as we deploy the image classifier module, we directly have the image classifier code. So if you remember from the catalog, this is the code that was in this GitHub, right? So if I can open it again. So if you want to check, but this is the same code. So in this code, like I already provided some demo files. So some like so that people know how this code is used. So in these demo files, like I copied them in the training folder. So these demo files, they are like two demo files. One which links training images to training categories. So this image is a class 0, this image is a class 1, and this image is a class 0. So our data set only has 3 images. And this is the classes, what the classes, what the numbers and what the class numbers are referring to. So class 0 are dogs, and class 1 is cats. So if you go back to the other file, this is a dog image, a cat image, and a dog image. So and now you have to also have a data set. So this is like, for example, the nice thing about Jupyter is like you can preview everything from images to markdowns or whatever. So everything is quite nicely handled. So this is one of the training images. This is not a training image. This is like this one is a cat, and this one should be a dog, right? So data set, 3 images, easy. So again, as I said before, like if you wanted to train on a bigger data set, you would need to upload it to One Data or Jupyter or Nextcloud, and then connect it to your machine. Or maybe if you don't have if you want to just keep it in your own Google Drive, you can export, you can access, you can download it to your local machine, and then maybe upload it from your local machine, right? So there's options for everyone here. But yeah, we kind of it's very convenient to have it in a One Data volume, because it kind of synchronizes automatically. So if you make changes here, it will synchronize to to your one data volume, and it comes quite handy. But yes, you have to configure everything. So, like the code is more or less ready. Well, it's ready for training. So now, as before, like we want to have the DEEPaaS interface to train. It's not mandatory, but like as this module is almost already with DEEPaaS, so we might as well take advantage of it and perform the retraining from DEEPaaS. So that was the command to run DEEPaaS. And as you can see now, it says running DEEPaaS on here, and this is actually is mapped to this port. So before running DEEPaaS, you probably, like in this case, you couldn't see anything, right? But now that we have that we have run DEEPaaS on the machine, now we can see what's inside. So now we want to train. So basically, this is a already prepared training function. So you can choose your training model, you can choose your image size. Well, these are all parameters specific, like quite specific to this model. Other applications or other modules will have other training parameters, because not every module handles images, or like some other ones may be using audio or whatever. And not everyone wants to interface the same parameters. So this is completely free, and each model chooses to interface to give the user options, the options they want. But like, let's take the default options. So as training is a quite long and expensive operation, like we perform it asynchronously. Like you make the training call and you get this UID. So this UID is like the one that kind of helps you retrieve the training results, like as they are going on. So because if we didn't make the response call, like just right after, like training, sometimes in deep learning you can train for days, for weeks, for months, or whatever. So it takes quite a long time. In our case, not, because our data set is only three images long. But like with this UID, you can get more or less the status all the time. Like in this case, it's still running, and you get which arguments did you use for training and everything. So if you go in the guts of the model, like remember that we launched DEEPaaS here, so we can actually see what's going on inside DEEPaaS, and we see that indeed the training was launched, and it's creating files, and yeah, as we can see, the training has already ended, because there were only 3 images. So, and we see that we have iterated over the images 15 times, and with changes. I don't know if you are familiar with deep learning, but like there's things like keywords like learning rate. So at what speed the model learns. So usually you want to make your model learn slower as you go on, and yeah, but everything is taken care of the module by the module, right? And you save your training data. So there's an additional nice feature here, like if you click on, if you have deployed DEEPaaS, you can click here, and in the UID in your deployment list, and you can see more or less the information you will get checking the UID of your training. So actually, it's calling this function. So get a list of your all your trainings running or completed. So right now we just have run one single training. So that status is done, and you have some training arguments. Like you can see which are the training arguments. So now if you deploy several trainings, you can compare your arguments and see like you can change those parameters. Like you perform different trainings with different parameters. So in deep learning, this is called parameter fine-tune optimization, hyperparameter optimization, right? So maybe you end up finding that maybe the initial learning rate, or normally the default parameters are fine, but obviously they can be tweaked. So maybe you can start with a lower initial learning rate, so maybe it trains faster, it trains better. So you change your hyperparameter in your new training and launch it again, and you can compare like different trainings with different training parameters. So a nice feature also that some modules you have a dedicated endpoint with a monitoring of the training. So in this case, it's not working because it's not deployed. Let's see if I think maybe this one was it deployed? No. Like let me show you maybe like some like you have like a dedicated wait. You have like every service in it has its own IP address. So Jupyter has one IP address, and DEEPaaS has one IP address, and you have an IP address specific to monitoring. So if you want to enable some kind of training monitoring, because like I said, training is quite, it takes quite a lot of time. So you might want to make some debugging or like to see if everything is going well. You can check, like you can deploy specific tools to make some plots during training, so that you get like on the fly results of how your training is going. Let's see if this works. Like if not, I can show you the slides. But yeah, maybe it's nice to have a. So this is the case, like TensorBoard. Like this is the monitoring tool we are using, but like you could use anything else. Like TensorBoard is quite nice and interfaces well with TensorFlow, which is also owned by Google. But you can use Wisdom or whatever interfacing tool you want, right? So training is running, so hopefully the monitoring is going to be fine. So yeah, so I clicked here in the monitoring endpoint, and as let's see if it loads. Yes, it's loading. So now we have like a real-time image of how everything is working. Like training is like, this is the accuracy of our classifier. So, and this is the number of iterations we have performed on the data set, which in deep learning jargon is called epoch. An epoch is like you iterate all over the data set, right? And this is like the loss, which the lower the better. So, and this is the accuracy, so the higher the better. So this is saying that our classifier is kind of learning to difference cats from dogs. But like our data set had 3 images, so I wouldn't be too confident on the results, but just like so that you see that you can have some nice features for monitoring your training. So yeah, I think this is everything for the intermediate user. So again, this is the intermediate user. So we have launched the classification image and the image classification module, and we have copied our dataset files, and we launched DEEPaaS, and you get everything like monitoring, training history, whatever. So yeah. So now comes the more trickier part. Like this is kind of takes more time to master, in the sense that it involves more tools. So now is the advanced user. So you want to develop from scratch your module. So you have to connect many things, and so that you can then give back, if you want to give it back to the community. If you only want to access resources, it's quite easy. In fact, it's more or less the same as we have seen. But yeah, so the starting point is different in this case. So now we start from something we call the deep development environment. So the deep development environment is something you find here, or it's actually also in the modules marketplace, but yeah, run your own module. No, it might be somewhere here. But yeah, there's a shortcut here. So this is the deep development environment, and it's basically a shortcut for more or less the same thing. But the difference with, for example, the other configuration is that we have now this custom Docker image. So actually, if you want your own Docker image, you are not tied to use our Docker Hub. You can just use your own Docker account and your own Docker image, or the Docker image, the default or PyTorch or whatever. So you just change your Docker image here, and you deploy what you want. So again, we want to develop things. So we want Jupyter Lab. So let's choose our default Docker image. So in our case, like let's say we for development, we probably are fine with CPUs, because like we are not going to be training. We just want to know if this works. CPUs are fine, but if we eventually will train CPUs, so for now let's have only CPUs. Same. I think I'm overflowing the schedule. So if you want, like if any of you want to end this early, I can show the slides. You tell me, Yin. Like, okay. So.
Okay. We will see what our audience, what they want. And we have a question from Vincent. I allow him to talk to you.
Yeah, sure. Yes,
Vincent asked whether you can annotate the image, actually.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Vincent.
Okay. So thanks for your presentation. Yes, I was wondering if you are offering a service to our
DEEPaaS, right? So once you have your Jupyter Lab, so I believe we had it here. So let's see. So yes, we kind of have it here. So So again, remember your Jupyter password. So let's see. So this is the deep what I called before what is called before the deep development environment, right? So we just deployed this thing. So it comes with a nice set of quick instructions on how you can get so all the pointers or what is included in this image, and so one thing you have to know is like if you want to develop a module with the Git to be able to integrate it back in the marketplace, so that other users can make use of it. You have to know some you have to do it in a certain way, like with some requirements. So the fastest way to have a template of what is right and what is wrong is to use our cookie cutter. So a cookie cutter is just makes a template so you can start. So let's call this module demo. So let's new demo. So and you can give your author email, whatever. So there's a load of questions you can answer. So basically, what you get is two files. One with what the code would be like, and one with the Docker stuff. So it's divided more or less in two things, right? So maybe it's easier to see it here. So you use your cutter. Cookie cutter.
Ignacio, we cannot hear you well. I think when the machine running at the background, the connection is very bad.
License you want? What account? You want? So you get
Ignacio, we cannot hear you very well.
These two folders. Your module.
Again, there's a very bad connection. Hello, Ignacio.
The project code. So.
Yeah, Ignacio, we cannot hear you well. It's I think this. Hello.
Yes.
When the machine running at the background, I guess it's used up a lot of connection, or today is very bad. Sorry, yes.
Yes.
Now we can hear you, and
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so more or less, like, did you follow the cookie cutter thing?
No. No, you can.
Okay.
Can you explain this page cookie?
Yes, no problem. So the cookie cutter thing is like, if you want to integrate with DEEPaaS, so you get this nice interface we were seeing before, like and with all the parameters and everything, you have to develop to have quite some requirements, like you want to be able to define all these functions and that the API finds these functions.
Okay.
And the easiest way to define everything is just like start from our default template. So to start from our default template, you just like put this command in the terminal. So that was what I was doing here. So I use this command in the terminal.
I see.
And you answer all these questions. Your email, module description, whatever license. So I call this module demo. So here. So and this creates two folders, right? So this folder is the folder that takes that where you are going to code your module. So specifically here, so you can here you can you can do whatever.
We lost you sound again.
Valentin here. Maybe I try to add.
Valentin. Yes, we can hear you, Valentin.
So what Ignacio shows that there is a cookie cutter template, tool, which is a general tool, and that allows you to create project templates. So once you run it and answer all the questions, then you get the structure which is suitable for the development of DEEPaaS, and it already adds a couple of necessary packages like DEEPaaS itself to your project, and you basically have to go to the code in some places and add what your deep learning and machine learning model has to do. Many things like Docker file, Jenkins file are already sort of pre-configured for you in order to work with the whole ecosystem. And it doesn't mean that you cannot modify, or it might still be needed that you modify those files. But in principle, if you just run then you get a dummy structure which you can immediately go through the Jenkins file, compile it, have it a Docker file, and then you also get this DEEPaaS and then what the user is supposed to do is to add really the deep learning logic inside the code, or connect the existing code with the framework. So it's a kind of templating tool, cookie cutter.
Okay.
And the tool itself is general. It's we just used that, created our own configuration for our project. If I was clear. Sorry, Ignacio, that as that.
Okay. And yes, and it's very, very interesting talk, but the connection is really bad.
Yeah, image of everything that's going on, but more or less you would need to define some things in your code and define some Docker file in your code. So once you have this, you have to perform some kind of you have to define how the continuous integration works. for what you want to perform, and then some final steps to adding it to the marketplace. So this is like, you have to go quite in depth, but like this is not what most users want, because many users maybe won't develop their own. So it's only for the advanced users. So this is more or less all the steps, but again, the slides, I would upload it to the documentation site. But and in the documentation you have everything. This is explained quite well. So these new DEEPaaS features, like, well, they make sense if I had explained a bit more in depth what DEEPaaS is about. But yeah, it's more or less new features include like making integration with the modules easier. Like we have also some kind of friendly API, so you don't have this ugly interface that right now is the Swagger interface of the API, which is, it's very functional, but it's not the most friendly thing. So we have some kind of nicer interface, and yeah, and the training dashboard is probably has lots of new things coming, like maybe visualize better the training results and compare training runs and whatever. So yeah,